Good morning. I am announcing here on my YouTube channel that I am changing my name back to Dana Lynn. So I will be announcing myself as Dana Lynn, no longer Neuron Car, which is going to be a little transition for me and for all of you, but it feels like the right thing in my body. And that's how I make all decisions. So this is April 4th, and we will be getting into our bodies as the most important thing, the most important start to my day, and I believe the most important start to yours. So I welcome you to settle in, whether it's sitting on the floor, sitting in your chair, doesn't matter where you are. The important thing is that you're comfortable, that you're not forcing yourself to be in any position that doesn't feel really safe and really relaxed. And so if that takes a minute, then settle in. And when you get there, when you get to that safe and comfortable place, we're going to practice finding that parasympathetic nervous system that is always there for us. Many of us tend to spend our life in this drive state, this where am I going next? What am I doing next? And that is very comfortable. That's familiar. That is where we spend a lot of time. And when we can practice recognizing what the parasympathetic state looks like, then our body is allowed to rest. It is allowed to process. It is allowed to slow down. It's allowed to give us information, and we're actually listening. And so the balance between these two states provides this vitality that is present and available to us all the time when we know how to switch in and out of one state or the other. And recognizing when you're in this flight, moving, accomplishing, doing state, and what that does to your system. So begin to recognize your breath, wherever it is, whatever it's doing. See if you can expand into it. Let it expand you by bringing your awareness of your breath all the way down to your pelvic floor. Let it sink and sink and sink and sink all the way to the depths of you. As you grow your capacity to receive it, to relax into it, to let it support you and be there for you. And then also begin practicing expanding your ability to return it fully by using those same muscles that have expanded and relaxed, by actually returning it to your space. So the pelvic floor may come up, the diaphragm may actually come up, the ribs may close down, the collarbone may come in. This is just as important. if not more. So noticing the breath, noticing your ability to change it or not. And as you notice your breath, also notice how you're sitting. Are you solid on your sits bones? Is your spine stacked above one vertebrae, above the next, all the way up to the base of your neck, into your head? Tucking your chin, reaching the top of your head to the sky. Creating a channel, a flow, an awareness that is entirely different than not being in your body. Notice the difference. Are you thinking? If so, can you sink back into the body? Today in our WildFlow experience, we are going to be sinking down into the pelvic floor. And so wherever you're sitting, I welcome you to explore these sits bones and your hips and begin to create movement that helps you determine where you are in this area in space. What gives you this feedback? Recognizing if it doesn't feel safe and comfortable, it's okay to do nothing. It's okay to have your eyes open. It's okay to not move. If it feels safe and right to move, then I welcome you to find the edges of this pelvic space with your awareness. Sinking back into your spine and then coming forward, flaring that tailbone, presenting your chest and your belly button, and then swiveling around to the other side. Noticing these edges, noticing this sacred space as women. You could call it our root. This place of creativity, this place of pleasure and desire. Not the only place of pleasure and desire, not the only, but it is our only root. It is a space that we can operate from and know deeply and heal collectively through. Notice if your movement there is uncomfortable. It's okay to go off camera. It's everything you're feeling is okay. I welcome you in WildFlow style to just explore this space. You may find that putting your hands there is helpful into your womb space. Don't forget the back of you, this sacred place of our adrenals and kidneys. I welcome you to change your position in any way that helps you to just find your connection to you, your connection to your body in a slow, safe, and relaxed manner. That will look different for all of us, but I welcome you to find the edges of sensation between your low back, your hips, and your pelvic floor. Let it be a flowing dance. Let it be all yours and no one else's. This rooted space, this root space, is also the place in which we can access our power or lose our power entirely. Or find a brilliant balance between the two. For all of these fascia and muscles and tendons and bones connect us to the deep place of who we are at our core. Never losing sight of the breath as a vehicle to continue to open up space. Your movement as your own creativity. Your own possibility. When we can move in this slow, relaxed, and controlled manner, or controlled in a good way, controlled in a comfortable way. Don't be afraid of losing control in your movements, but this is how we begin to recognize our access to the parasympathetic nervous system. Most exercise is done through the sympathetic nervous system. It puts the body in a state of fight or flight or freeze. It's jarring. That's not necessarily a bad thing. We've talked about tension here and putting the body under tension. But I welcome you to develop an awareness of the sensation of both. Exploring your hips and low back. Imagining that you're a child crawling, learning to crawl and get in your hips, rocking back and forth. If you're in a chair, come to the edge of the chair and really let your hips open up. Moving your knees out to the side and across to your midline. And recognizing your breath in that position. The edge and the awareness of your sensation there. This root has a way of grounding us if we let it. If you're on the floor, you can also play with getting into those muscles of your buttocks in the back chain, the back side, by activating all of the muscles that pull your knees wide and create space in your low spine. There's this essence of our musculature that creates strength and suppleness, that we're ready. There's a readiness to our muscles when we learn how to balance the tension and the excitement of them. So a tense and tight muscle doesn't have the power and strength that a long and strong muscle will. And again, most of our tendency to strengthen our musculature creates a tightness that isn't also flexible and ready, at the ready. And so when you begin to explore this place of muscles being ready to come on board for us, to move us from one thing to the next, then it happens through this balance of our own awareness and their readiness. So we lose that over time when we don't get on the floor, when we don't ask ourselves to do things that we used to do, thinking that it's a natural part of the aging process. I think it's just another symptom of our culture. We spend a lot of time sitting, a lot of time finding convenient ways of accomplishing things. And so we lose that readiness. Now, if you're drawn to the neck during this process, the muscles of the jaw and neck are very closely related to the muscles of the pelvic floor. You can kind of see how the hips and the shoulders might not be disconnected from each other, that there are these patterns and these flowing energy channels, and nothing is disconnected from anything else. So I welcome you to just notice it and follow it. And explore it. And as you wind down this experience of wild flow today, coming to stillness, thanking your body, creating a log of what you noticed, feeling the difference between when you started and now, noticing if your breath feels fuller, noticing if your mind is a little quieter. I'd love to leave you with a journal prompt for some time in the next 24 hours. Really exploring how each of us connects to the ability, the regenerative ability of the body or not. And so I invite you to explore your sense of what your body is capable of. not what someone else tells you is possible, not identifying with any diagnosis or label that someone else has given you with perceived more knowledge than you. I invite you to deeply reflect on your belief in your body. What do you believe is possible? Have you ever given thought to the power of changing, healing,